Well, g'day everyone. Recently I was contacted by this company called Accsoon. They asked me if I wanted to look at this new device they've got. Now the units themselves are just called the CineView Quad, so that's what it actually is. Now I'll just take you through some of the specifications just so you see what is in this. One of the unique features about this unit is that it has this 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz band transmission. And what's different about that is it will determine which one's got the best signal, and then it will use that signal, which is fantastic because that's the only one that I've ever had that can do that. And in fact, it did prove out because when I did my studio test where I walked into the studio, there was no loss of signal at all, and that was amazing. Also, when I did the test walking and things like that, the video footage was really, really good. So that's great. And that's how this works. So it will always try and find the best signal and combine them and just grab whatever's best at the time. So that's a really nice feature. So what I thought we'd do is I'll show you what's in the box and then we'll just take the review from there. We'll just open it up. So in the unit here, we've just got the instruction manual here. It's a very good quality one actually. And then in here, we've just got one receiver. So there's one receiver and there's also one transmitter. And then in here, you've also got a couple of mounts that you can use as well, that you can attach it to your camera or gimbal or whatever else you wanted to put it to. So you've got two of those. It's got 1080p video input and also output. It will go up to 60 frames per second. The audio is up to 48 kilohertz. And it's also uses 16-bit or 24-bit, so it just depends on what you'd like to use, but it's very well featured in the video and audio department as well. The build quality of this is crazy. It's actually made from aluminium alloy. The only thing I can see that's plastic is just the antennas. But you can see there's a 1/4-inch mounting hole through here. You have got the devices that you can attach different things to that stop it twisting if you want to use certain attachments that you've got there. It's got SDI and HDMI in. That's great because I have a SDI workflow. All the high-end cameras usually will have SDI, so that's a great way of feeding it in. It means you have to get less converters and things like that, and it's a much stronger signal, and you can run those cables much further. So that's great that it has that in. Some of the cheaper units only have HDMI. You can see that this is T for transmitter, and then you've got controls at the front, which are very simple. I'll show those a little bit later how that works. It has this grouping feature that you see on the side. That's great. So you could have, up to any number of groups really that you could sort of set this in up to, and DC in as well. So you can charge this from DC power if you don't want to run it off batteries. Now, the antennas are great because it's all built in one. There's no screwing them in or anything like that. You just simply fold them up like that, add your Sony MPF battery into here, and it's ready to go straight away. They're nice and small. You don't have to lug around, say, the big antennas and things like that, but the quality is fantastic. So that's the transmitter. The receiver is basically exactly the same. You've got the same 4 antennas built in. The only difference really is that on this, because this is a receiver, it's a HDMI out and an SDI out here as well. You've got the same ability to change your channel here and have your power in and the same mounting point underneath. So what we'll do now is I'll start connecting this and show you how the system works. Power-wise, you charge with the MPF batteries that I showed you before. You can also get an adapter that will power this up full-time so you don't have to use batteries if you want it to work that way. Okay, so let's power the units up. So I'm just going to use these Sony MPF batteries. These are the MPF 970s. And all you'll notice there's just a couple of jacks at the end here, and they just will slide in to these units like that, and they click in. There is a button here that you can press to take them out, but that locks it in so it won't come out by mistake. Now what we'll do is we'll power up the transmitter first. Now there's a power button on the top right here, so if I just press that, it will start to appear. And if I press this on the receiver, you'll also see that it will start to appear. One real big advantage of these units is there's no fan on them. A lot of the other units that I've had, well, all the other units that I've had a fan built into it. Even my Ninja has a fan built into it. So when you put them on top of the camera, it can be heard if you have using a microphone very, very close. This doesn't have any sort of fan there, so that's terrific. So, you can put this very, very close to the camera and it's never going to be an issue. So that's a real big advantage. Let me take you through the menu with these and just sort of explain it. Now, you notice at the moment there's no signal showing. That's because the camera is not connected, and also the audio is not showing either. Your groups here if you want to set multiple ones of these up, you just have to make sure that they're on the same group. And the group setting is from this that you just turn here. So as long as they're on the same group, you'll see it'll make a connection. This is the channel that it's selected, this 165, so that's what that's on. At the top up here, you can see it shows, these must be codecs that it uses. I'm still got to research what this means. It might be that it works on H.264 and AAC. This is the system that it works, but I'll connect my camera and see if that changes. The other thing too is you have your battery indicator, and then the one underneath the battery indicator is just showing your signal strength that's through here. So also it's showing that your 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz is connected through here as well, your dual band. And you'll notice it shows the same on the other side here. That's because these two units are actually connected. So let's go through the menu itself. There's 3 settings in here, and you can just move across by using these 2 arrows. There's high quality, which will give you the best quality possible. You have then over here, which is your normal. That's what it will come with by default. You just select on it in the middle to select it. And there's speed if you wanted to make sure that it was the quickest operation, but your quality may suffer a little bit. To select what you want, you just click in the middle. This next part here, your channel selection, is on auto at the moment. That's the best one you can use, because if you leave it on that, it will just look for the best channel that's available with the least amount of interference. So that's what I leave it just on auto, but you can change it if you want to manually. The next thing here is your wireless reset. If you wanted to reset it back to factory default, you can click on there as well. This will tell you your wireless info that you've got there as well. And the next one will just tell you about, which will be your product. It also tells you the software version, etc., etc. there as well. And then if you click again, it will just go back to its standard area. Now, this is the transmitter, so this will have a few extra features than what the receiver will have. The receiver, if you click in again, just shows you what your transmission settings are. If you click in here, you just have about, and then it just comes out. So there's nowhere near the same amount of settings that you have on the receiver as you have on the transmitter. So it does have extremely low latency, and it says it's less than 60 milliseconds. Now, you do have to take into account your camera settings here, though, because your camera will add some latency, but the units themselves are less than 60 milliseconds. Okay, so let's now get this all hooked up. So what I've done, I've got the unit connected into the camera, and I've also got the receiver connected up to the Ninja V there. So if I switch on the units, they'll take a few minutes to boot up. I've speeded this up. Now you can see at the moment that if we look at it, it's showing that it's now showing 1080p 50 on the top there. So you are getting the signal that it's connected to. These will only do up to 1080p 60. Now you'll notice on the camera though, it is showing 4K. So even though the camera is 4K, it's still only coming through to the unit at 1080p 60. So it does sort of downsample it like that. Now on the receiver as well, that is on showing the same settings, which is 1080p 50 as well. Now you can also see through here that it's also showing the audio settings that you've got there as well, and that's come through from the HDMI. Now if I turn on the Ninja V, you can see now that the signal is connected, and I've just got a little Dalek on the right hand side out of the frame there. You can see also that the Ninja V shows that it's on 1080p 50 up the top there as well. Now if I move the camera, you can see that the Dalek is moving. So now this is completely wireless. The transmission ranges up to 500 feet, which is 150 meters. So that's how far you can sort of walk with that. It's way more than I would ever use. And that sort of was proven when I did the test as well. It was very good, in fact. Okay, so what we're going to do now is a distance test. So I'm just going to start walking backwards, and then I'll do 10 meters, and then I'll just stop, and Kerry will wave if it's okay. She'll wave crazy if it's no good anymore. So we'll just start that now. So I'm going to start counting back. Now remember, this is direct line of sight though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, Kerry? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. 81, 82, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90. Has it been okay the whole time? 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. So I'm not going to go, I'm puffed. It's hard walking backwards. So I'm not going to go any further than that. Look, I mean, that's way more than what I'd ever want to go, but I am going to step sideways and see if it disappears. So we'll do that now. So I'll step sideways, I'll come out, and I probably guarantee that it will disappear because it'll lose line of sight. Come back out. Okay. Well, that's incredible. So that's probably the best that I've had with a system like this not losing signal. I'm going to go back a bit more. So I'll just say count another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's 120 metres. That's still okay, Kerry? Now I'll go out again. We'll just see if this has dropped out. That drop out?
Little bit.
Okay, you can stop there. All right, so you can press record. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to test to see how far back I can go with the iPhone. I've got it working right at the moment. For instance, if I turn it around, you can probably see that Kerry's there. I'm not sure whether it'll show, but Kerry's there, and I'm recording this on the microphone on this as well. So what I'm going to do now is just start walking back until it starts to disappear. So we'll just see how far we can go. So you can see how far back I can get with this. I'm just going to do it until I see I'm breaking up with the video feed. I'm going to go as far as I can with the other camera because really, looking at this, there's not really, it's like already. I think it's still working. I'm getting that small, it's actually hard to see if it's still functioning or not. There we go. Anyway, that gives you an idea about how this works. You can have up to 4 devices attached to this from the one device, which is great. Things like, you know, having iPhones and iPads and things like that. Okay, so what I've done here now, I'm going to show you how to connect this to the iPad. There's an app that you can download, and it's also for your mobile phone if you are Android and also iOS, which is called the Accsoon app. And it's probably one of the most full-featured apps I've ever seen, particularly for a wireless system like this. You can see here, these are all the features that it has built into this monitor. I've had some monitors that work this way. That's just using a HDMI monitor. But for a wireless monitor to have this that works very, very quickly and it's very good quality is amazing. And that was one of the main features that really blew me away when I looked at what this could give you. Now, it's connected up to the moment just wirelessly via the transmitter that you can see here. So it's connected basically to this. So it's just going to find that wirelessly, and then it will appear on the screen through here. So all you do, and I'll enlarge this up in a minute just to sort of show you how you do this, but all I have to do is make sure that in the settings that part of your Wi-Fi is just the Accsoon one there that you can see up the top. That's just got to be selected. And then when I go back to the app, all I then have to do is make sure that I click on the appropriate unit. Now, there's a few of these that are in there. I'm just using the CineView one, and you can sort of see by the picture as well. And if I go monitor, it's going to open up that screen. So now you can see this is seeing the whole thing. The Dalek is on the right-hand side over here that you can see if I move around, it's going to actually change. Okay, so let me just show you the interface, how this works. It's really good how this functions. There's buttons down the bottom down here. Now, there's more than what you can see. You've just got to use your finger and scroll across so you can see everything that's in there. At the moment, it's showing everything that's available. If I wanted to take some of these out, I can click here, and then you'll see that you've got add or delete. So you could take these out of there if you never, ever wanted to use them. And simply just click on it, and then it's gone out of that menu system that's down the bottom. So that's a really nice, simple way of adding things there. You might find you just don't use some things. Now, for instance, if I wanted to just go black and white, I've just got it focusing on the Dalek at the moment. I can click on the black and white one, which is here, and it will go to black and white. That's great because you can see how this would look if you want to shoot in black and white for some reason. You could check that out. It also can help too sometimes with the exposure and things. But you also have these where you can do your red, green, and blue. Now, at the moment, it's just showing red. I think this aids in exposure as well. If I click the up arrow, you'll see where I get the different functions that are up here. Let me just bring this down just a touch so you can see them. there's red, green, and blue. If I click on the green there, it will turn green. If I click on the blue, it will go blue. And again, like I said, you could probably use that as an exposure guide or something like that. There may be another reason for these. I've never used them, but they're there anyway. Let me just click out of this. And to deselect it, you just click on the button again. These next ones, though, are very, very handy. Your histogram you get with my camera, and I love histograms, but I love waveforms even more. But you can change this completely. If I want to change the way that this looks, if I click the button over here again, you can see that I've got histogram here. Now, that lets you look at it at Luma. You can go for the sequence, which shows your red, green, and blue. Or you can say do it where it's a mixed, I think they just call it over here as well. So you could do it that way. It just depends on which way you'd like to work. The other thing you can do too is determine whether you'd like it small, medium, or large as well. I think small is ample. Now you can also work out where you'd like this to go as well. Now this works with a few of these things. I'll just show it here, but you can also do this with a waveform as well. I'm just going to put it over there for the moment. I like the Luma version of this, so I'll probably just leave it like that. But I prefer to use waveforms. So let me just turn off the histogram and I'll put on the waveform, and you can see how this works with Luma. If I move this up and down, you can see that the exposure again shows you what's happening. If I had the histogram on, you can run both together. You'll see that they'll both go at the same time. So you could have both of these up to check exposure as well. Again, you can change this one. If I select waveform up the top, you can see that you could also have that as your red, green, blue, and also your over as well if you wanted to have a combination one. Like I said, I like the Luma. It does have those same features that the other one, the histogram had. The other thing too, you can also take down the opacity as well by changing this slider to work out where you'd like it to go. I wish my Sony cameras had these waveforms. I just love using waveforms. It's one of the main reasons why I love using the Ninja V. Another feature too here, if you wanted to check focus, is click on the focus one here, which is your focus peaking. And again, you'll notice that if I go in and out of focus, it will show in red. Now, that can be changed depending on what you choose up the top here. So you could have green if you wanted it green, you could have blue, and also white if you wanted to go with white there as well. Now, you can change the intensity that this will work at as well. So if you wanted to be a little bit more critical, you could sort of change that intensity as well. Focus peaking is great because I use manual focus all the time. So that's a nice feature that's in there. You've got looks that you can put into, so you can load LUTs if you wanted to as well by using this system. I haven't done that yet, but you can do that if you'd like to. It just says up the top here, select LUT file, and click to select a CDL file. So you can put that in if you wanted to. If you're using S-Log, you can have a look at how the LUT looks. The next one up is using markers. Markers is great because I often do shoot in 235.1. And I love that cinematic look that you get with that. So if you wanted to select that on there, you could show that. And you can see now it's showing the marker at 235.1. So these are great. And again, you could just have one-to-one if you wanted to. And just select whichever one you'd like. So that's terrific. I really like that. And you can also show safe markers through here, and you can also have the mark width. This is using distortion, so you can distort it if you wanted to use D-squeeze. D-squeeze is great. So if you're using anamorphic lenses, you can actually use this to change how it will look. You'll notice that, if I change it, it's going to do all weird things to it because I haven't got an anamorphic lens on there. So that's nice as well. This is your grids display. If you look here, you can show that in your rule of thirds. And again, you can change your color that you'd like to use here. And also you can change the width of the grid as well, or the thickness of the grid. So that's nice too. I like the fact though that you can change the color. I mean, I think that's good as well. Your brightness of your display. This will change your brightness of your actual iPad. So you can sort of set this to be how you would like it to be. So it's a little bit of control, or you can just say full range as well. I'm not sure what the difference does on these yet. I'll have to read up about this, but I know it has this display range that you can set, which I think is probably good because once you sort of work out, I suppose you could match this to your monitor or the back of your screen or something like that if you wanted to go that way. This one here is you can have it so that your image is flipped. You'll notice that it's flipped each time I turn it. This one here, your overlay, is using it's called onion skin. I'll talk about that when I show you the website. I'll actually show that working and how you use that. What Onion does, the onion skin, it gives you the ability to superimpose an image over the top of the other. So in other words, if you had a dancer that was sort of stood there and you wanted to swap the background out with her stood still, you could move her around, change the background, then bring her back in and move her so she's in the exact same position, because the overlay will be this sort of lighter look of image, and you just move that until it sits directly over. So that's great that that has it in. My Ninja V has that, and now this has that as well. Now, there's so many other little features on this. I mean, I haven't gone through all of them. There's things like your zebras that you can use through here as well, which is great because I use zebras all the time. You can see they're sort of showing through here with the settings that are set. You can set these through here. There's audio that you can see through the interface. If I bring up the audio, you can see that that will show through here. So that's showing you what your camera audio is. You also have false color as well. False color is great because it shows you down the side here where your exposure is ranging. Like this is very, very overexposed and this is very underexposed, and your skin tones are going to be around this area. Again, if I change this, you'll see that the exposure will come down. If I make the exposure hotter, you'll see that it's now bringing in all the white at the bottom. So this is a great way of getting exposure correct, and I like using false color, particularly for skin tones. But, you know, there's just so much in this that you can use. It's a very, very powerful app. You can also go live as well. If I click into here, it has live streaming, so you can go to YouTube as well. I haven't done that either, and that's another exciting feature that I must try with this as well. You just need your RTMP key, and then you could go live. You can also use split screen too in your iPad if you wanted to go that way. So you could edit things, like if you had a script or something like that that you wanted to follow, you could, an art director could be checking that at the same time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to test this by walking into my studio. Now, this is quite a hard test because it's in a separate room. Also, I've set up my studio with insulation in all the walls. It's got like an aluminium insulation and also some soundproofing as well. So this is a really good test to see if this will work. It hasn't with any of the other devices I've used. It's worked with the other devices, but they've actually lost signal. It's sort of steps and things like that. So this will be interesting to see how this goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the studio, and I'm just going to walk in and we'll do that test now. Okay, so testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just going to see if this doesn't collapse. So checking, 1, 2. So how do we sum this up? It's by far the best wireless type system that I've ever used. Like I said before, when I've tried to use them in the studio before, they'll always break up at some point when I walk in, because this is particularly hard, the studio, with the way that I've set this up with all the insulation in it. It makes it very, very hard to use wireless systems, and this coped very, very well. And like I said, that's the first time I've been able to walk in like that and not have it drop out. That's terrific. The results, the quality that I got from this, it was really nice. I mean, when I did it, I shot it in S-Log, and the quality that I was getting from the Ninja, recording it from the Sony a7S III, was terrific. I'm very, very happy with how that works. Not having a fan too really is a terrific feature, because you can use this indoors or anywhere in a really quiet environment without having to worry about that fan being picked up. So that's another great feature as well. The setup on this is just outstanding. I mean, basically you just open up the antennas and it's done, it's ready to go. Really, really quick and very, very easy. I love that dual networking, the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, how it selects the strongest signal that it can use. Therefore, it maintains that signal strength. So that's another nice feature as well. Look, they're not cheap, but for what you get, I mean, I think this is a really terrific device. And thank you so much, Accsoon, for sending me this. This certainly for me is going to be a keeper, and it's certainly one that I'm going to be using in the future. And I can't wait to sort of take this to other levels, like doing some live streaming and using the onion skin and things like that, which should be a lot of fun. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Apart from that, everyone, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.